been quite a while since we had a new Fort Magic game, so here is a decent, kind of realistic wish list for FN26. A lot of these are almost game fixes or just slightly little things. After delaying the game last time, I wouldn't expect too many features coming out, especially with Sports Interactive not exactly big on new updates in the game. But a lot of these are just realistic things that I'd like to see in the game. Firstly, a natural release with early access. I think having a release of the game is definitely something that we want as a group. A lot of people aren't that confident that it's actually going to happen, but I think if we do get a release, even if we do get some information in the next couple of weeks, it should be very promising. I did do a video on what we should expect, and one from that is some news about the same time as before. So we usually get like I think it's a 2-week early access. I don't know if that's what they call it, like a pre-access. I think having that would definitely be better for the game, especially if the game is in an actual playable state to be released, which will be great, and let's fingers crossed, I hope it is. But after that, we kind of just actually want to get into the game. Press conferences haven't really changed since they've gone into Fort Manager, and some new press conferences will be great. They even said themselves that people will spend less than a second on press conferences. So just have revitalized that. It shouldn't be too hard to do. Even if you just use AI, you just cheat your way out of it. You just do it like that to actually relate to what you're doing in the game. As a lot of people just give it to their assistant manager or just spend 1 second just spamming through because they know what to do. And press conferences are quite a big part of the game in real life, and having them just to be something that is more of an inconvenience is not exactly the best. Going towards AI, I don't think AI is maybe the fix for this one, but it could be. The AI management, it feels like if they just do the same tactic, they don't really adapt to you, they don't really change. You can just play the same tactic, and borrowing the game engine, it kind of just lets you plug and play, which is kind of good for a game that's barely big. But I thought Manager's got aspirations to be one of the biggest games on the market, or at least work towards that. I think AI management is definitely a lot better, or has to be a lot better. Next one is the texture options. I don't know if anyone actually uses the basic texture options unless they have to. There is mods and people that actually make texture options that are actually good, which I don't think Sports Interactive will put too much effort in because of that. But the basic texture options on Fort Manager, maybe it's just because it's been too long, but they just look dull. There's no colour to it. It's just a spreadsheet. I know there's going to be a better user interface, but just some colour, some variety, some logos. Like we have the Premier League logo. Can we have a couple more logos? Can we just like make a couple home screen differences just to make the home screen, which is basically where you spend 90% of your time on the game, just make it look better, especially for like content creators. Just seeing a blank screen with loads of text, or even for someone who's just puts 1,000 hours into the game, it's just not that great, and we kind of want a little bit of variety on that. The user interface is getting a big update in this one, which is one of the reasons why the game was delayed and cancelled. But hopefully in this one, because they are leaning towards, well, a bigger player base, trying to get the right words out. It's going to be a more like touch optimized, and I just hope that when it's on PC, it's because that's where their player base is and where they grew from. I kind of just don't want that to suck. I don't want them to just dumb it down just to have it playable for the new players, but to be like, you can dumb it down a little bit just so it doesn't just seem like a spreadsheet when you first load it up. But make it so if you want to go in depth, you can go in depth, which I'm sure they'll work on, but I just don't want it to be like a random mobile app. I want it to still feel like a PC game when you are playing it on PC. I actually want the new game engine to actually just be functional at this point. There's amount of times that the game engine doesn't actually show you what it wants to show because the game engine and the match engine just do two different things. I'm not expecting EA Sports FC graphics or anything close to that. I think, especially with companies like EA, they focus too much on graphics and not on the actual game. And I think, although I trust Sports Interactive to not do that, I think it'll be a lot better. To be better, I know Unity isn't the most powerful engine in the world, but it's still powerful enough to run games like City Skylines 2, so I'm not expecting it to be at 4K, although I assume some bits will be in 4K compatibility, but I don't want it to be like uber realistic, but I just want it to be like, I don't want it to see stickmen running across the pitch and just gliding across, which has got better over the years, but it still needs a lot of work. Next one is kind of like a bit of a byproduct of this game being out so long, is people have just found all the little glitches and all the things that just work well. There's loads of tactics, like I think it was the World Cup tactic that just works. You can just plug and play and you just do things that just aren't even realistic. Fortnite's just supposed to be a simulator. You can't just plug and play tactics. 4-2-3-1 formation is literally like everyone's go-to because it just works better than any other formation. I don't want these things to just happen 24/7. I know 4-2-3-1 is a big formation in real world, but I don't really want it to be the case where if you're playing on, let's say there's an online mode in next year's game, I don't want everyone to be playing a 4-2-3-1 that actually wants to win. I want people to do a 3-4-3 or a 4-3-3 and still have a chance of winning without just exploiting the game, basically. Especially with exploiting the game using the set pieces. There's a set piece tactic that just scores 20 goals. I don't remember the last time a centre back scored 20 goals in like a top flight league. I don't think that's really realistic. And some of the roles, I know you can fit the roles into your formation and kind of fit the way you want to play by the roles, but there's some of the roles that just people don't use because they're just not good. I know that's kind of like real life, but we kind of want a mix where you don't just play, let's say, a box-to-box midfielder and then do playing playmaker. You want a bit of variety. But going on that variety little notion, we want more realistic AI transfers. We actually want good squad building. There's a lot of times where teams just buy 17 goalkeepers or 17 left backs when they don't even have a right back. They don't have a striker. It just feels like the squad building is just like a little kid that's on FIFA that's just like, I want to sign all the good players, but doesn't actually know how to build a squad. I'm sure the game at this point is up to a level where you can actually get transfers that... I'm not saying you want the transfers in Football Manager that are going to happen in real life, but towards that way of where if a club gets a new manager, let's say Man City go from Pep Guardiola to Jose Mourinho, it won't happen. But I want them to sign players more like a Mourinho type player, not just a... I think you get what I'm on about anyway. Anyway, a lot of the things I want in the new Football Manager is just a lot of bug fixes. There's a alien glitch where I think it's Lujo just calls it aliens, where it's just a visual glitch. It's been on the game for so long, and I don't know if it's even been on previous games, but it feels like it's been on this game for way too long. And it feels like something that should have been fixed, but I just hope with all the stuff that's been carried over from FM24 to FM26, I hope just all the little bugs or just stuff that breaks all the time. If I see bugs on the new game, I kind of want them to be new bugs, not stuff we've been moaning about and saying about for the last couple of years or the last couple of months. Better AI faces, and it's another one that people say quite a lot. it kind of is a bit of a running joke within the F1 community that player faces have almost got even worse when you get a new regen. I kind of want them to resemble kind of a real person. I'm not saying you can go down like an AI and just upload random faces, but maybe that would work. Surely going into a new engine, you can actually get faces that actually look semi-realistic. There's a lot of like mod packs that sort it out, so it's not Football Manager's like main way of doing it, but with a lot of people that aren't on PC and can't mod the game, I think the AI faces definitely need to do. Women's football is coming to the game as well. I want that to be done actually properly, like we have in the men's game. I want all the leagues. I know we don't have every single league, but we have quite a few. I don't want it to end up like EA Sports FC, where you've just got 5 leagues. I don't know if you have the Champions League in the career mode on EA Sports FC, but I just want it to be done properly. I don't want it to be like a little side mode. I know it's not going to be as popular as the men's game, but it's a game that I will try out and play. But if it's not fleshed out properly, there's almost no point doing it at all. I'm kind of getting into women's football, and it's kind of got to the point where if you don't do it properly, then these people that are just like, oh yeah, football's too woke. I don't think that's a good way to start it off. International management is kind of a big thing in women's football. I don't know if they'll actually bring it back for this game. I assume with a delay, there's probably some plan to do it, especially with the Women's Euros kicking off in, I think it's about a week now from this video when I'm recording. We kind of just want international football, especially with women's football launching. You kind of want to... I'm not sure if the Euros is too early for the game engine, because you're going to start in July, August. So the international window's already going to be closed, but international management is such a big part of football. Even though it's not my favourite, it's a big part of football, and not having it is not exactly the best. A couple of these are more like dream aspirations that I'm not expecting from FM26, but will be nice to add in the game. I assume they're not too hard to do, as they're all already kind of in the game. The next couple are just for Build a Nation. You're building a nation, you're going from, let's say, Gibraltar or Wales, from a team that's semi-pro. When you actually get to the Champions League, I kind of want the league to grow with you. I think there is a system where it grows in Gibraltar, but I did a Welsh save for like 25-30 years. And some of the players were just marginally better that they were signing from the start of the save. I don't know whether that's just the AI management is not that great. But the leagues just don't upgrade. The finances just don't upgrade. When I'm doing that good, I want other teams to be like, oh yeah, now there's a possibility for me to get money. Now I'm going to actually try and get in the Europa League, try and get in the Conference League, Champions League, and stuff like that. Something like a dynamic youth rating as well goes with that, where if I'm going through and I'm using loads of, I'll just use the Welsh example, if I'm using like loads of Welsh players, I kind of want to see the national team be like, let's say I'm like 30 years in the future. There's going to be a generation of players in Wales that are going to see my team and be like, oh yeah, I want to play for that club, and have the international players actually come through better, and it seems like we don't really have that. Another one of the things that kind of should be in the game already, but the stats that you see are just kind of basic and bare bones. Don't know how much of that is just because people don't use it or just because people don't care, but when I see my player stats, I kind of want to see, like when you go on your manager history, I want to see how many goals you scored, how many games you played, how many assists you got, what your rating was, and stuff like that. Just have better details on it. At the moment, we kind of just get a paragraph, and it's kind of not that great. And especially when you load up the game and all you have on the previous data is just a little bit of a summary and then appearances and goals. You don't get assists. I'm not expecting match ratings, but maybe assists, maybe clean sheets for goalkeepers and defenders and stuff like that. But it really feels like they've just done the bare minimum, and With a game that's coming into the 21st century, we kind of just want the game to be more of a data hub. Fort Myers is already a data hub as it is, and we kind of just want that to go through. Whether people don't use it and then take it out, or whether it's just a thing that is just cool but it takes up more energy than it's worth, then I guess it makes sense, but it's always something that I wanted to add to the game. Anyway, if you have any more features you actually want to do, I've kind of tried to keep this realistic just because I don't expect the game to be a massive overhaul from FN24, barring the UI and the graphics game engine. But hopefully a couple of these should be in FN26 and should keep the game pretty fresh. Anyway, that is the end of today's video. If you've got to this point, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Give me some of the features that you expect from FN26 or something you want for future games. Hit like if you haven't already. Subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.